Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Low Season Traveller Insider Guides. I'm your host, Jed Brown, founder of Low Season Traveller, and this week we're speaking with a fascinating man I met whilst at a travel industry event in Oman last week. Nuno Dias originally comes from Portugal, but for the past 10 years he has called Spain his home. A self-confessed low-season travel addict, Nuno talked to me about his love of Spain and just why cities like Madrid, Seville and Bilbao are such wonderful destinations to visit during their lower season months. Enjoy. So here we are with Nuno Dias. Great to have you here with us, Nuno. We're on location in beautiful Oman at a meeting table while everybody's off at their lunch, and I won't keep you too long. But obviously we met last night on the bus. And you were telling me that, whilst you're from Portugal, you've spent...
From the north of Portugal, yeah.
From the south of Portugal?
From the north of
Portugal.
Portugal.
From the north, forgive me.
Guimarães, where Portugal was born, basically.
Where Portugal was born, that's quite a claim, isn't it? It's quite nice. However, you've spent, the past 10 years?
8 years in Madrid, yeah.
In Madrid. And you've travelled quite extensively around Spain. Yeah. And, last night on the bus as you were talking, I could see you're really passionate about Spain and about a lot of the different destinations in Spain. So I just wanted to basically have this podcast with you to talk about some of the parts of Spain that people might not be familiar with and to learn a little bit of, I suppose, insider knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially, let's start off with Madrid. You've been in Madrid for 8 years.
8 years.
Tell us, what's the big appeal of Madrid? So if anybody hasn't been to Madrid, what should they know about Madrid? That's a big opener for you.
So basically, it's still a bit undiscovered, even though it's the capital. Everyone thinks about Spain. Everyone that thinks about Spain thinks about Barcelona, near the seaside and everything. But Madrid has a lot to offer as well. So I normally like to say, without taking any credit to Barcelona, if you want to the real feel of a Spanish city, you should go to Madrid. A lot of historical buildings. The streets are very, very nice. A lot of gardens. Madrid it's basically the third city with more green areas in Europe. So There's something that people don't know. And you'll discover that Madrid is very big, but everything is walkable. It's not like other cities that you have to take a bus or whatever. If you go from the Retiro Park to the palace, it will take you like 20 or 30 minutes walking. But the way there, it's quite amazing because you'll go through old buildings, new buildings, very, very nice area. So, and other than that, gastronomically, it's just outstanding.
You were saying this about something like you were saying yesterday that basically every restaurant is fantastic, but there's quite a large number of Michelin-starred restaurants as well, and the prices are good as well, right?
Yeah. So basically, I like to say that if you're coming from London, in your case, or the UK, where you used to pay 40, 50 pounds for a lunch, for a nice lunch. Nevertheless, it's a normal lunch, normal menu. In Madrid, for 65 euros, you can find a handful of restaurants with a Michelin star and a tasting menu. And it's not that easy. It's not that difficult, to book it. Because there's several restaurants with Michelin stars, and not all of them are all full, But other than that, even restaurants that do not have Michelin stars, so between me and my friends that we like a lot eating out and stuff like that, we always bet on which restaurant will get the Michelin star.
All right.
And I remember a time a colleague from my hotel basically came to me and said, Nuno, tell me a restaurant to go to take my wife out. It's our anniversary. And I said, I have several. I would advise this, and this. And I'm pretty sure that this one we're gonna get the Michelin star very, very soon. It's like, okay, he tried it. He came and said, outstanding, very nice price. I think it was 75 or 80 euros with no Michelin star, but still expensive, but very nice. 2 weeks later, the Michelin guide had the meeting, the annual meeting that they have, and they gave him the Michelin star. He came back running, saying, "No, he got the Michelin star." It was like, yeah, I told you, it's. And
the price is doubled.
No. Actually, it's called Close. I'm going there next 6th of December.
Oh, okay.
And they do not rise the prices that much. But even though they have that slightly advantage of having the Michelin star, the prices are still low. Just so you have an idea, there's only one 3 Michelin star restaurant in Madrid. They only have one menu, and the menu costs 250 euros. It's very expensive.
Wow.
But you go to London to a 3 Michelin star restaurant, you go to the United States, and it doubles.
Yeah. You pay
And
a
we're
lot
talking
more.
about a menu of 21 plates that you're 4 hours seated. It's a whole experience. It's not just eating; it's eating and the explanation. It's outstanding.
Yeah, I must admit, I've only been to a couple of Michelin-starred restaurants, but it's the whole experience that you get, isn't it? It's the way they introduce you, they show you the kitchens first, and they talk you through why these tastes are going together, what you're about to eat with each serving. Like I say, it's a whole experience. This
Remember when we were talking yesterday about the restaurants in the north of Spain?
Yes.
So the most sustainable restaurant is in the north of Spain, in Bilbao.
Yep.
And it's called Azurmendi. So the experience in that restaurant, I've never been to. I'm eager to go to. It's one of the restaurants on the top of the list. The first thing you do is a visit through their backyard where they plant everything that they will then tell you this comes from our garden, the one that you just saw before. It's called Eneco Hacha. He has a restaurant as well in London called Eneco, and that's what makes not just eating, if not the experience, the complete experience of a Michelin star restaurant, of our high class restaurant.
Absolutely love that. What's your favorite restaurant? Not necessarily Michelin starred, but in Madrid, that you would sort of recommend that hey, if anybody's in Madrid, they should give it a try. It's nice.
It's a difficult choice.
Yeah.
My favorite restaurant is called Nakeima.
Nakeima.
So Nakeima.
Yep.
There's no Michelin star yet. These guys are just outstanding. You can eat there for €6, but it will blow your mind. The only problem with this restaurant is they do not accept reservations. They get a full house every day. You have to go 1 hour and 1 hour and a half before. You have to stay in line. They will come out. They will take your name, and then they'll sit.
Wow.
I've been there a couple of times. The third time we were there, microphone was the number 20, and that was 21. There's only 20 seats.
Right.
And they say, let me see if I can arrange it. And then he came back and said, hey, we have a disabled person. The wheelchair is taking more space than normal, so we cannot offer you. So that's how it works.
Okay.
If you want to go there, you have to go early. It's a fusion restaurant, and I can tell you that it was the experience that amazed me the most, because I wasn't expecting it at all. We were just crossing. We heard things about it. I said, let's try it. Let's see if there's space. We got to the line and say, okay, you're 14 and 15. Okay, perfect. We'll stay here. And it's Asian Spanish fusion. It's something that blows your mind, completely blows your mind.
Awesome. I love that. You were talking last night as well about, and you mentioned it there just before, about how Madrid is, it's very walkable, but also it's got the most amount of green space, I think, of any capital city in Europe. Tell us about the sort of the parks and the green spaces that people can enjoy when they're in Madrid.
So basically the most known one, and everyone, it's like the key selling point of Madrid regarding green spaces, is called Retiro Park.
Okay.
Parque del Retiro. It's a park, very green spaces, it's gardens all over. You'll see a lot of fountains with statues, and then you have a venue inside. That's a glass house.
Oh, okay.
So it's a house made of glass, and you can actually rent that. While we're talking about meetings and events, you can actually rent that venue to make events inside. And next to it, there's a small lake with a big pantheon, like a lot of statues, and you can actually row a boat in the center of the park. Then you have the Casa de Campo. That's the biggest one, the one we were talking that we see from the Debod Temple.
Yes.
You can see the palace on your left side, and if you look in front, you'll see all green. You have a amusement park in the middle. Okay. Also, so very, very big. You can ride a bike there. You can also do events there. It's very, very. It's you'll see that being a capital, you do not expect to have such green parts, and you're surprised when you go there. So
is that the one that has this teleferic?
Exactly.
This, cable car.
Exactly. So if you're looking at Casa de Campo, on your left side you have the palace, the royal palace, and if you walk on your right, you'll have the teleferic that will cross you to the other side, just on top of Casa de Campo.
I did that actually with my father and my brother some years ago, and it was fabulous because you're looking down below and you can just see the extent of this park.
Exactly.
And you see everybody, you know, they're all, like you say, they're on bikes, mountain bikes.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, we're in the middle of one of the most vibrant capital cities in Europe. And yeah, there's just so much green space. It's absolutely blew my mind. I want to touch on, you know, we very much focus on the low seasons. And we always recommend people to travel during the low seasons because it's less crowded, there are less queues for the attractions, and so on. And we touched on this last night. And we've spoken before to a lady whose name escapes me, embarrassingly, from Madrid, or Destino Madrid. Okay. And she was saying, as you echoed this last night, that August is the absolutely low season. Yeah. And the reason why it's low season is...
because of the warm weather.
Right, and we say warm, but we mean hot.
Yeah, so it's 40 degrees plus during the afternoon. Bear in mind that Madrid it's basically in a valley. Okay, so during winter it's very, very cold. We're talking about -2 in the morning and 10. That's the range of temperature. And in summer it's just like you have nights that you have 30 degrees during the night.
Wow.
Like sleeping on 30 degrees. So that's it's very difficult. So for us that live there, we try to escape Madrid in summer. Actually, there's a saying in Madrid that if you're on 2 months of vacation, work in summer.
Really?
Yeah, because the city is completely empty. You can cross the street, the busiest street in Madrid, you can cross without looking to your sides because there's no one else.
Okay, so there's no crowd. Crowds aren't an issue.
Yeah.
The attractions are open, though? So the museums, everything is still open?
Actually, the amusement parks and everything, and museums, all the streets, like I was telling you before, this morning we were talking, Madrid is one of the few Spanish cities that opens everything during holidays.
Yep.
From Monday to Sunday.
Yep.
So you won't have any kind of problem there. You'll find it less crowded.
Yep. Absolutely, like said, so. and that's what we look for. So it's fair to say then that you can go to Madrid, and we touched on this last night, where I was kind of curious. If it goes up to 40 degrees, and I was saying to you, but is it hellish? Would this be hell on earth if you were to travel there for 2-3 days and you've never been to Madrid?
It's not that bad. We were talking about Seville yesterday, and it's basically the same. A lot warmer in Seville. Actually, Seville is the warmest city in Europe.
Okay.
So they're on the south. They're just next to Morocco, and it's very warm. You can still walk around. Yep. You can definitely still walk around. Just have to bear in mind that you have to carry water with you and keep hydrated the whole day because it's very, very warm.
Yep.
And it's very easy to get bad like headaches and stuff like that because of the sun. But it's completely doable.
Yep.
Seville, one of their highest seasons is summer, even though with
the heat.
In Madrid is the other way around.
Yep.
So we don't have anything. Good thing for people that travel in low seasons. Nice prices.
Yeah. So you can really stay in. I mean, I've had some meetings while we've been here at M&I Forums in Muscat with some fabulous properties in Madrid. I mean, they're absolutely blowing my mind how good they are.
Well, it's the hotel park, like we like to call it. It's growing a lot. Next year they'll open 2 5-star hotels, so Four Seasons and the Mandarin Oriental. So 2 more to add to the portfolio. And the good thing about traveling in summer or late July is that you get very nice rates.
Yeah.
So it's a lot cheaper. Everything else, the prices remain the same, restaurant and stuff like that. But even the restaurants that have terraces and stuff like that, they use a system. They have some water just sprinkling into you.
Yep.
And that's quite nice, having a very nice cold beer outside with the warm weather on the shadow, never on the sun because that's impossible to stand. But it's doable. It's not hell on earth. So.
And when you stay in some of these nice hotels, I mean, some of them have got fabulous pools and stuff as well,
and rooftops,
and rooftop bars and rooftop pools as well, which look fantastic. I mean, for me, I was sort of thinking, actually, I could go for Madrid in August, and I'd probably get out and about, early in the morning because I like to get up in the morning.
And then late in the afternoon.
Yeah, exactly that.
Basically, just so you have an idea, things change a lot. I remember we held an M&I in my previous hotel in 2015 or 16, I'm not quite sure. And one of the activities was terrace hopping.
Terrace hopping. Awesome.
So you would go from terrace to terrace. There's a lot of lovely terraces in Madrid, and you would get going from terrace to terrace, trying their cocktail. Each one of them have their own cocktail. a signature made for that event. And you'd see, for example, there's a big, massive building called Palacio de los Correos. That's actually the city hall.
Uh-huh.
And there's a terrace on top of it that you can actually see all Gran Via and Cibeles roundabout, where Real Madrid celebrates their championships.
Yeah.
So we're basically on top of the building, looking at Gran Via, looking at the Metropole building, the one with the big clock, and you're having a glass there. So and there's like this, there's like 10 in the same surroundings. So it's a little bit growing into the tourism as well.
Yeah.
But offering different things every single time.
It's giving me an idea for an article I think we're going to feature on Low Season Traveller, which might be the top 10 rooftop bars of Madrid. So I might tap into your
please do.
Your expertise on that.
I'll help you with that.
Awesome. Let's move on to Sevilla, Seville. Tell us again, for anybody out there that's not as familiar with Seville, where Seville's located, and you're quite passionate about Seville. I know that. Tell me why is Seville so great?
So you know that Seville is a big spot in my heart. Seville, it's located in the south of Spain, 1 hour from the beach, from the lower part, like Cádiz, and that's now very, very known for the past 2 years. And what I think about Seville is that one of the good things about Spain is that every region is completely different. People, the people that live there are completely different from the south. So Seville from the Basque Country, nothing to do with the personalities of the people are completely different. People from Seville, Andalusian, are very open. They like to talk to everyone. Like I was telling you yesterday, we were laughing because they talk to stones. They see a stone, they start talking with them. They make jokes. So they're very open. They will help you with every way they can. And we've seen a growth in tourism in Seville in the last 3 years. We just held the MTV EMAs last week there. So it's growing a lot. And for me, the best part of Seville is the food there and the architecture. It was the last Muslim city in Europe, so they're down south. So it's just like they were being pushed. So the last cities were the ones in the south of Spain, Seville, Cordoba, Granada as well.
Yep.
So in the architecture side, you'll see a lot of the Middle East
style, the Moorish style.
Like I said, you have the Koutoubia in Marrakesh, and you have La Giralda. That's exactly the same tower in Seville. And it's amazing. The food, a lot of restaurants, and the big difference between Barcelona and Madrid, that's the biggest cities in Spain to travel, it's a lot cheaper. And if we talk about low season in Seville, it's like I would not say it's half of the price, but you'll see your budget grow while you move south.
Yeah, even more so than up north.
Exactly. No, north it's more expensive. Restaurants and stuff like that, and accommodation as well. As soon as you go down south, it's a lot more cheap, or a lot cheaper. Bear in mind that we're not talking about Malaga or how do I call it? It's a city in Malaga that's all the people with a lot of money go to.
Puerto Banús,
Marbella. I'm sorry.
Marbella, of course.
So Marbella is like the oasis there for the big spenders. Let's cut that off. It's very nice. They have very nice restaurants. They have 3 Michelin restaurants there as well. So, but it's a lot more expensive. If you go to Seville, it's just like their food is amazing. Their beer is amazing. You have wines, a lot of kinds of wines. The spirit wines like Fino, Oloroso, Pedro Ximénez, the one that you do the sauces for eating. So they all come from that area, from the south of Spain. So if you want to experience something completely different, it's go south. Or go north. You'll have 2 completely different experiences. And Seville, the good thing about Seville is that it's also walkable. It has a river crossing the city, so it's very, very pretty. And then the monuments there are just outstanding.
What about in terms of, and I always tell every guest to turn off their phone, and I'm the one who's guilty today. Apologies.
No problem.
What in terms of the hotels? Again, I'm sure there's a wide variety of nice hotels. Is there any hotels or accommodation, and indeed restaurants as well that you personally kind of recommend and that you enjoy?
So there's in Seville it's a little bit different. So I would say that it's a little bit more difficult to find a very, very nice restaurant, like a Michelin star restaurant, because in Seville all the restaurants are very similar in quality. So I wouldn't say I would say there's several in the way to Seville that I would stop. For example, Jaén, that's before Seville, where all the olive oil comes from. Okay. There's a restaurant that I want to try, that's Bagà. That people travel all over to go to that restaurant. It's outstanding. If you go to Cordoba, there's Noor, that's another restaurant that very, very special, because that guy takes a century and he focuses all his menus in that century. So he does several kinds of menus during the year, but he concentrates in one century to do one menu, another century to do another. Wow. So it's one thing. If you come today, it's one thing. If you go tomorrow, it's a completely different thing. Yep. This guy will get the second Michelin star in November.
There we go. You heard it here first.
I'm pretty sure. It's called Noor, Noor. Yeah. But in Seville, the restaurants are very, very similar, all on the same standard, not that expensive. Like I said before, it's one of the best places to go if you're on a budget, and if you go on low season, it's even better.
Yep. Yeah. And low season for Seville is different to Madrid?
So basically, low season in Seville is winter. Okay. They're now working a lot with tour operators and everything, but it's actually a nice time to go there because it's not that warm. Yeah. Like we said, the story from the siesta comes from Seville. Yeah. Okay. Because they cannot work from 2 to 5. It's impossible to be on the street. Yeah. So,
love that. Okay, let's head north now as well. I suppose for the last destination that I wanted to cover with you, and that's the Basque Country and Bilbao and San Sebastian. It's another sort of region that you're quite passionate about as well. Tell us why you're passionate about it. And again, there might be a lot of listeners listening in that actually aren't familiar with Bilbao. They might have vaguely heard of it, but they don't really understand what's there and what's so good about it and why it's different. And is it because it's in the Basque Country that it's different? Tell us, what's so great about Bilbao and the Basque Country?
So basically, my first trip in being in Madrid was Bilbao, actually. Okay. So I have a very good friend there. We went to a couple of concerts, and the way of eating there is completely different. Like we talked before, pinchos, you go to a bar, you enter in a bar, every bar has their own. It's very similar to what we talk about San Sebastian. So Basque Country is very similar in all aspects. And you just go to a bar and you see a bar full of pinchos. It's like tapas, like you normally know by tapas. And every restaurant has their own special one, like they advertise it. And you go from bar to bar. The good thing about this is not networking because you're not working, but the kind of intimacy that you get with your friends because you're not seated. It's not a plate. It's just a small thing that you put in your hand, you put in your mouth, you drink a little bit of beer or wine, and you move to another one. And you have a whole night crossing bars and eating completely different things.
We call it a pub crawl.
Yeah, it's pub
crawl.
But with food. Exactly.
Great
food. Great food.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Bilbao has a lot of Michelin star restaurants as well. So a lot of people that do not know, Bilbao, so if you know the series Game of Thrones, everyone knows Game of Thrones. Part of it was filmed in there.
Oh, okay.
So Casterly Rock, it's a small church that's in the middle of the sea, so you have to cross stairs. It's called San Juan de Gastelugatxe. And the time I was there, this didn't happen back then. It was like 7 years ago. Yeah. And we had lunch at Eneperi. So San Juan de Gastelugatxe is like a small island in the middle of the sea. Yep. And the restaurant, it's on the hill, looking at so they have a very big garden, and you're just eating and seeing the church, Casterly Rock, basically.
Beautiful.
So for the past 2 years, people get to know a little bit more of Bilbao because of that. But I'd advise people to go to Bilbao, in this case Bilbao, because the food there is something out of this world. Like we talked about yesterday. We talked about a lot of things yesterday. Yeah. Gastronomically, it's the place to be. Yep. It's actually San Sebastian is the city in the world with more Michelin star restaurants per square meter.
Than anywhere else.
So Tokyo is the one that with the most,
Yep.
300 and something. But San Sebastian, with the size of the city, it's the biggest one. Back to Bilbao. If you go there, everything is green. You have beaches all over the place, so it's very, very close. People go there to surf as well. It's a little bit more expensive than Seville.
Yeah.
It might be similar to Madrid because we're the capital, but it's a little bit more expensive. More or less the same as San Sebastian. San Sebastian is a little bit more expensive in hotels because there's not many in the city. But it's another different thing. That's my favorite city. I told you this. I love San Sebastian. The La Concha beach. It's just amazing.
It's almost like a sort of croissant
shell. Yeah,
beach.
It's like a
shell.
shell.
Like a shell.
Like a shell. Yeah. That's called La Concha. It means the shell.
Yeah.
And the food crawl that we did there. We found some things that I thought it was just like, wow, that's not going to work together. Foie and anchovies and marmalade, and suddenly you just put it in your mouth, and it's just like I have to come back here every single day. The cheesecake, the famous cheesecake, the Spanish cheesecake that you can see now all over the world. It's not from the Basque Country. It's a normal cheesecake that La Viña, that's the restaurant that's showed it to the world. But it's not Basque at all. There's one.
They stole it.
They just started doing it so well, and people said, okay, this is good, and everyone's coming. So, for example, all the great chefs in the world go to San Sebastian because they go visit the restaurants, Aquelarre, Mugaritz, whatever, and they stop there for a piece of the cheesecake. And we're talking about chefs that do everything with food. And that's a very simple thing. Yeah. But it's just like the north of Spain and the Pinchos are the best way to get around. Yeah. The best way to get around, and the city's just amazing. Very,
Absolutely
very
love it. And one other thing, just to sort of touch on before we finish up, we were talking last night about getting around Spain, and I've travelled to a few different places in Spain myself, and I guess a lot of the UK and Irish market has. But I guess like a lot of the UK and Irish market, I've never been on a train in Spain. And you were telling me yesterday about the high-speed train and about how it's on another level. Talk us through, for our listeners who may not be aware, how easy it is, what the prices are like, to go between different cities within Spain without having to fly.
So basically, there's two main lines. That's Barcelona and Seville. Basically, it's the easy, or the easiness, if you will, of using the train, because you can be 5 minutes before you'll go in, no hassle with security, no ticket. The ticket's on the phone, or you can print it as well, and it's comfortable. Yeah. Of course, we were talking about going to Barcelona, for example, and it takes 45 minutes by plane, but you have to go to the airport, you have to check in, you have to probably they will take your luggage away. You have to wait for the luggage in the end. You have to go from
queue for security.
So in with AVE, it's called AVE, that with the train that doesn't happen. You just carry the luggage with you. You can bring as many luggage as you want. I think that not as many as you want, but you can bring 3 or 4 luggages. There's no problem whatsoever.
You're not charged for extra pieces.
No, not at all.
It's not like Ryanair, basically.
No, not at all. And basically, what you have is a comfortable way of traveling. So from Madrid to Barcelona is 2 hours and a half, but you can work. Yeah. If you're traveling for business, you can work. If you don't want to travel for business, you can watch your series. You don't have to have them downloaded, because you can use your cellular phone.
Love that. Yeah,
so it's just and it's comfortable. You have big couches, and the prices are roughly around €100 each way. So €200. We're talking about high season or weekdays. Yeah. Business. We're talking business. If it's weekends, you find promotions. You can find. I've had I traveled to Sevilla for €80 going and coming.
Wow.
And we're talking about a travel that would take you 5 hours by car. Yeah. It's 2 hours by train.
And these are high-speed, modern, super modern trains. Because I think that the Spanish are among the leaders worldwide. Exactly. Actually, in high-speed trains, right? You have the bullet trains. I think in Japan. TGV, I guess,
in France,
as
exactly.
well,
and then Spain. Yeah, basically the company that it's building the fast train to Mecca are the Spanish ones.
Right. Okay.
So basically, it's just you take more time, but you end up getting more time to do something else.
I love it.
And it's a lot more comfortable than any plane I've been to.
I guess you get to see a bit of the country as you go as well,
course
which you don't get to see that on the plane. There we go. You've got a fan.
Yeah, I got a fan.
Listen, Nuno, thank you so much for sparing some of your lunch hour with us to talk us through some of the joys of Spain. I think we should definitely try and hook up at a later stage and do one on Portugal, which is your home country, of course.
Exactly. I could do that as well.
Yeah, I'm sure you could, but you've done a great job for Spain, so thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much.
So there you have it, a Portuguese guide to the joys of travel in Spain. My thanks go to Nuno, who gave up his lunch break to share his love of Spain with us this week. I've already coerced him into recording another podcast with us later in the year, all about his native Portugal. That's all for this week's show. We're currently working hard on our wonderful new website, and the feedback we received from hoteliers and tourism destinations during World Travel Market last week was absolutely amazing. One leading destination told us that our new site and concept has the power to revolutionise the travel industry as we finally focus on the huge advantages of low-season travel. I'm off to Tallinn in Estonia next week, and I'm really looking forward to experiencing all that this Baltic city has to offer in the low seasons. So watch out for the following podcast and videos. Have a great week, stay warm, and don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, family, and social networks. Our content will always be free for everyone, as we believe that travel is better without the crowds.